Okay, I'm gonna go live on YouTube and let's get started. All set?
Excellent.
Excellent.
Almost the holidays.
Hi, and welcome to Sonic Talk Podcast. In the intro video there, you were just hearing background noise from one Alex, aka Nuckles87. Hey, Alex.
For our holiday episode.
Okay.
I think we should do the entire podcast in song.
No, I also watched. I also went to go see what's it called? The Marvels, and no, we're not.
Oh, come on! It'll be fun. We'll be like Christmas caroling the entire time.
And that would be the episode that I miss, or just accidentally lose. Oh no! Everyone's microphone is suddenly broken. I don't know how.
You can't accidentally lose these episodes anymore, GX. They go straight to streaming.
Hey, I can find ways.
The days of recording these things on Audacity and then having them get broken are long past, thank God.
So yeah, this is Sonic Talk Podcast. Every month, we from Sonic Stadium get together to just chat about the Sonic news of the previous month. And
so it's been a little more frequent lately.
Oh,
this is like the first proper monthly break we've had.
My dude,
in a little bit.
This year, we've had like 2 releases of Sonic Prime. We've had a new Sonic game, the announcement of another new Sonic game coming out next week. We've had 2 major DLC releases, a billion comics, and it's been madness. The whole thing has been madness.
And now Shigs is a Pac-Man.
Yeah, there's just been so much Sonic, and they launched the new Lego line, and we're getting a new tabletop game. Like it's not stopping. Nothing is stopping.
It's never going to stop again. We're never going to have another slow show.
No, no. Watch the next major Sonic game come out after another 5 years.
No. And we still have that Knuckles show as well coming at some point.
Don't remind me. I was talking on.
It's supposed to come this year, and then I guess they delayed it due to the writers and actors strike.
Yeah, just something like
That's
that.
my guess.
That would be my assumption. I don't think we're getting it this year. Was it confirmed to be this year?
Yeah, it was going to be fall this year, and I guess they decided to delay it. Either they had to because of the actors strike, or they decided to because, hey, this might go on for a while. We need to spread out our remaining content.
That's likely that second one.
I was chatting about it in the Nintendo server channel on Discord that I hang out in, and the consensus would be the best way to prop up that show would be to give Knuckles a mech suit. Like that would immediately make it a must watch.
Yeah, if you gotta defend the Master Emerald, the mech suit's the way to go.
I mean, like, mech suits just make everything better. Like, hey, like, they should just give Wade a mech suit.
Absolutely.
That'll make it more interesting.
Give every character in that a mech suit. Just give that's kind of why the whole Lego thing is both weird and not weird, is because Lego has a line of just characters in mech suits. They made it for they just started making them for Star Wars. They've made them for Marvel superheroes for a long time.
Spider-Man has a mech suit.
Oh yeah, Spider-Man, the Hulk has a mech suit. Like Captain America, Iron Man has multiple. Thanos has one.
I mean, Iron Man having a mech
Well,
suit is just
No, but
repetitive.
it's the mech.
no, yeah, it's just a
It's a mech
in
suit that
character
his
for
mech
character.
suit goes into. It's embedded mech suits,
I
recursive
forget
mech suits.
did the Hulkbuster have the Iron Man suit go into the Hulkbuster suit, or was that
I
just its
think it
own
did.
suit?
I think it did, but I mean like, but they also have the Hulkbuster as multiple separate sets that you can get of Lego. I don't.
You know,
I'm all in
we
favor
don't
of
have
giving more Sonic characters mech suits.
we don't have anything to really discuss in terms of what we've been playing, mostly because none of us have really had much time. Like I just played some Knight's Journey of Dreams on my Steam Deck. That was mostly driven by the fact that I am getting a Steam Deck OLED for Christmas, and I am very excited. And I want to like make sure everything's working right.
Why are you getting things for Christmas?
I know, I like it.
Okay. All I played was the Talos Principle. You don't need me to discuss the Talos Principle. It's a 3D chamber based puzzle
Like,
game. It's fun and neat,
I,
but I don't know how to
I,
describe it
I
beyond
was
that.
raised. I was raised like an agnostic Jew. My family did. We did both Hanukkah and Christmas.
And Shigs, you said you were doing Apple Arcade stuff, so
Yeah, just some of the more lower grade games, really,
how do
like
you
the
feel about
Konami Frogger and stuff like that. They have two different kind of Frogger games. One's kind of like Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, and one's more of a traditional one, but you're saving these little frogs and stuff.
So we're gonna eschew most of that for the sake
Yeah.
of just covering news this week, and let's kick things off with the biggest thing. Hey, they announced a new game again. I thought we were
Yeah,
in
just
the
add it.
clear. I thought we had finished the year, but then
Yeah,
they went
yeah.
ahead and announced a new game, and now we have to cover a new
Sonic
game.
Sonic Superstars just came out in October, and like a week later, oh, here's the all new 3D Sonic game for a system for an iOS that most people
And
don't own unless you have it on your
Well,
phone or something.
Well, I mean, let's. So I guess we'll get into that. So yeah, they announced Sonic Dream Team, which is some form of 3D Sonic platformer.
a fully 3D Sonic game written by Ian Flynn with music by T. Lopes, an animated opening by Tyson Hess, and developed by Sega Hardlight. Like everything aside from that last one is just what you would expect from a console Sonic game.
Yeah, like it's the weirdest thing because this is not anything in the wheelhouse of anything that Sega Hardlight has previously made, and it's kind of where a lot of my trepidation for it comes from. Well, maybe not trepidation, but just the way that the community has just sort of taken this as like, oh, well, this is this amazing Sonic game
Oh,
that
dear.
only Apple people are going to be able to play. Is like, number one,
Yeah.
we have
We
no.
don't know exactly how amazing this is or how bad it is. We have no idea.
I have played a lot of Hardlight games, and most of them involve standing in one of 3 lanes, and that's the entirety of the action. So I
I
don't
will
know.
say that their Choo Choo Rocket game was fun, but that's like that's like the best thing they've made that I've played.
I was getting livid. Well, no, not livid, but I was getting agitated in the Discord today. In the Sonic
Oh,
Stadium Discord, just the conversation was like, oh well, okay, so do we think it'll go to other consoles? Do we think it'll go to other consoles? Well, if it's going to go to other consoles, how long will it be? Well, if it's going to be on other consoles and it's going to be like 2 to 3 hours long, then how much can they charge? Like you have built this entire structure on sand. We know nothing about this game and it comes out in a week.
actually, we do know some things.
We know a couple things.
Like you know, I don't know if you read that Digital Trends article that I wrote up, but we got quite a few reveals in that.
We got some details. We got some details. What details we got?
Well, for one, it is a fully 3D Sonic game. As, of course, there are no like 2D bits or anything. It's the characters have are divided into three different categories. There's the speed characters there's speed characters, Sonic and Amy. They control like Sonic. They can boost, they can run up walls, they can homing attack. You've got the flight characters, Cream and Tails, who can of course fly. And you've got the climbing, gliding characters, Knuckles and Rouge, who can climb and glide. The game is the levels are made to be replayable, and they are made to have different paths for different characters. So, like if you play as Knuckles or Rouge, then you can go to completely different places from Sonic or from Sonic and Amy. They're like Sonic and Amy can run up walls, but they cannot get to they cannot like climb or fly to the places that the other characters can get to. So it's got that like kind of structure built for multiple characters, which is not really a thing that we've really had.
Basically.
That's not really a thing we've really had in the 3D games before.
No,
At least not to this extent.
No, I would say
Well,
Sonic Frontiers was.
I was going to say Sonic Adventure games were usually the same levels remapped depending on what character you'd be playing as.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but also with different like areas and different objectives.
But also, like the next closest thing I could think of is something like Sonic Frontiers, because let's be clear here. Sonic Frontiers was the first time that they gave you a bunch of levels for diverse characters to go in the same space as.
In 3D, yeah.
In 3D. So, I don't know. I'm interested. I'm curious. I am hesitant, but I went out. I got an Apple TV so that I could at least cover this.
Yeah, I hope to have an Apple TV to borrow pretty soon.
Yeah, weirdly I figured out that Apple TV generally, it seems like an okay device. It reminded me that no, I really do not like Apple interfaces, and
Boo.
Hey, look, man, I like.
Yeah, I turned the touchpad thing off the remote pretty quick.
Oh, the touchpad was.
Oh wait, those are the old remotes. The new remotes use buttons.
No, the new remote, the old remote still has and the new remote has a touchpad. It's just that the touchpad is in the middle of the directional pad. Like it's just
really. I have not noticed that.
Yeah, it acts like
I've been using the directional pad.
It acts like a trackball type thing.
And you can turn it off.
And you can turn it off, which you should turn it off because it's annoying. I also discovered that you cannot program the dang thing to actually control your TV. It's either controls it through, HDMI controls or nothing at all, or you teach a different remote to operate like it. I don't know. Apple devices and me don't cooperate.
A couple more things. So the team told Digital Trends that they were inspired by Super Mario Sunshine and Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
I mean,
and
let's be real. Tony Hawk Pro Skater is the game that you should be paying attention to if you're a 3D Sonic developer, Sonic team.
And from what I can gather, they're mostly talking about like the mission structure here.
Sure.
So, each level has a variety of different missions, ranging from getting to the end of the level to racing through checkpoints to collecting keys. Each mission grants an orb, and the orbs are used to unlock further levels. So, like a 3D Mario game. And they had good things to say about the controls. Sonic magnetically connects to things. You're not going to be flying off of things like in the old Sonic Adventure days.
Well, I imagine that since if you're playing on an iPhone, then you need a touchpad controller. They'd want to make it as simple as possible for,
He did say that it controlled.
Such.
He did say that it controlled especially well on a touchpad. So they definitely made it with that control scheme in mind.
I'm curious what it's gonna be like, though. Are we talking like a digital D-pad or? Because ultimately, like, hey, if you're playing games on Apple TV or even on an iPhone or iPad, like, Apple Arcade is designed around, well, almost all of these games are going to have controller support.
Yep.
So,
And they will work with like any of your controllers. Like I was using a PS4 controller on my iPhone like a few years ago.
I think that's kind of the tough part. I'm thinking of it in terms of, okay, what makes sense in this format? Like when I'm thinking of like hey, Sonic, they're going to have, we'll call it platforming assist whenever he describes it as like Sonic magnetically snaps to things. Like this is something that we're used to in the games at these points. It's just sometimes that's in the form of like a homing attack. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just wondering like, okay, is that going to be invasive? Is it going to make it too easy? Is it going to be
Well,
I don't know.
the guy said that it controls well, and that the magnetizing just keeps you from overshooting things. And ultimately, he compares it to like at the end of his at the end of his preview, he says the levels took him back to his days playing Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. So like it certainly sounds like it's something kind of closer to a polished version of sort of the adventure games more than anything else. Just
I
going by this, anyway. Now, of course, we've gotten positive reviews before, only for the
Oh yeah.
game to get like a 6 or 7.
Oh
So
sure.
because like sometimes like the developers just completely mess it
Well,
up
also
in
like,
some way at
hey,
the end.
like, I'm not really necessarily going to digital trends for my like in-depth gameplay coverage of games. Like,
Bro, but this guy would seem to be a pretty big Sonic fan.
yeah, sure, but also like, hey, there's a difference in audience between one kind of thing and another kind of thing. Like,
The one thing that he noted was that he said that each character has same speed and momentum, which could make navigating platforming segments for the non-Hedgehog characters more difficult. So there is that.
and like, it, I think what it's just coming down to, for me is like, there's just so many. We haven't aesthetically. It's what I want. Like this is really drawing visually from Lost World, which
I got
Yeah,
to see
very
so
much.
many people saying Lost Worlds has ruined this game, has ruined the franchise for a decade. Like,
yeah, those
man, no, this
people
is
are
what a
wrong.
Sonic game should look like.
Yeah,
Lost
Like,
World wasn't even that bad.
I wish Sonic Frontiers had this aesthetic. This is a gorgeous aesthetic.
yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. I wish honestly, in some ways, I wish Sonic Superstars had this aesthetic. Uh, but yeah, it looks good. I know a lot of people are very excited about the concept of playing as multiple characters. Personally, I think that the idea of like, okay, the characters inhabit the same place, but just have different abilities within that format is
I think this is the first time Cream has been playable on her own in 3D ever.
well, yeah. Because if you consider like Sonic Heroes or something, that would be yeah. I'm trying to think if there was. I think the only thing that
Like,
comes to mind are
I don't
mods.
believe she was in Sonic 06.
I don't
And
think
that would
so
like would have
either.
been the only other game.
Yeah,
And then like
she was a partner in Shadow, but or was she? Maybe she
she was a
wasn't.
partner, but you didn't play. You didn't play as the
Yeah,
partners. At least
yeah.
I don't think so.
Heck, I
But
don't.
yeah,
It's
like
so odd that they keep choosing Rouge now as the third girl member of their groups.
I think
well,
it's.
in this case, it just makes sense because, like, you need another Knuckles. You need a Knuckles counterpart, and that's
Yeah.
what she is.
I mean, you're not going to choose Blaze for that. Like
Yeah,
Blaze,
Yeah,
sure.
this
Blaze is
is
great, but
why
Blaze is not a flying character.
I want them to introduce like more characters via DLC. Give us like
Uh,
Give us Blaze
But no,
and Silver.
we don't need Team Chaotix in this game.
Yes, we do.
We don't need Charmy. We are good with not having Charmy, please.
They need to put in Charmy and give him his Sonic Heroes lines.
We don't know what the game is. Why are we adding more characters to it? Quit
Because
adding
that's
more
what I
characters
always
to
do.
Quit adding more characters to things.
Like, I admit, I am very optimistic for this game. Like, I do think it just looks fun. Like, it looks aesthetically cool. Like,
I am
I don't know. I'm
complete.
not confident it'll be amazing, but it looks like something that'll at least be like fun on a basic level.
I have no idea what to expect, so I don't know what to feel on this one.
Yeah, the problem is it's gonna sink or swim by its details. Like it's gonna sink and swim by like how well it feels, how well the levels are designed, how interesting the tasks that it asks you to do are. Because you can get that right, but then you can also get that very wrong. And I think a lot of the, we'll say, types of mobile challenges that Hardlight has introduced in their various games aren't great. Like, a lot of them are,
I mean,
do this thing multiple times.
All those games were built specifically to just suck up your money. Like
Yeah.
this game wasn't designed around that at all.
It wasn't.
Like, my
Well,
big issue with Sonic Racing was that it was
that's the one
clearly
good
just a game
thing.
with the monetization removed. But this was built from the ground up for Apple Arcade.
I agree, but then I
That's the
also
one thing I'll say is that this is the Apple Arcade, model that no transactional stuff. So
yeah.
could be different.
It can be, but also, like, hey, some games that make it to Apple Arcade also just feel like the like the 4-pay version, but with the microtransactions removed. They have a lot of games on there that are
like Sonic Racing.
like Sonic Racing, or
Sonic Racing very much feels like that.
yeah, or
Also
hey,
feels
Sonic.
like it was made for a touchpad because all you do is you have one joystick, one button. It's the Yuji Naka version of a Sonic
Ugh.
racing game, basically.
Can you turn into a box in ways that you cannot control?
Oh.
But yeah, I think I just want to emphasize here, like, hey, if you're mad about this game or banking on it somehow, like, coming to another platform, number one, I don't think right now we really don't have anything to suggest it's coming to another platform.
We got to talk to someone who was
Yeah,
involved with the game.
and to be brutally honest, this is something that's kind of more for a mobile market, but not a transactional mobile market.
Well, we don't
so
know
I'm
that.
not
We don't know
expecting.
that.
It feels like that to me, and I'm not expecting a AAA game out of this.
Oh no, for sure, no.
I'm
But
expecting
it
maybe a
doesn't have to be a AAA
$20
game to come to
Switch type
consoles.
game out of this.
but even then, like the things people are asking for is like, well, put this for $20 on Switch or whatever, and like, I think it just comes down to, like, number one, Hardlight. Their games just generally are not on consoles. Like, we don't have any point of comparison to say, like, we have seen this type of game go elsewhere. Even now, things like Choo Choo Rocket Universe, like, that has been
got
delisted
delisted.
from Apple Arcade, and we have seen them do nothing with it. And it's not like they can't, because it's just a Unity-based game. Like, you can port Unity-based games with other things, but they've opted not to for one reason or another.
Now, we talked to someone involved with the game's production. We can't say who. They want to remain anonymous, but like they basically said that Apple was involved directly with the production, and it is for that reason that we should not expect it to come to other platforms. And from the way they describe it to us, it basically sounds like Nintendo's involvement with Bayonetta 2. Like, and of course, whenever
Yeah.
Platinum Games is asked about Bayonetta 2, they say, hey, if you want ported, ask Nintendo. And of course, Nintendo's not putting that thing anywhere else. Now, I don't know, maybe Apple will have a different philosophy, but like I simply wouldn't count on at least not a direct port. Now maybe there is like some like loophole where they can bring like a version of the game, like maybe under like a different title or something
I
to
have
other platforms.
so I have
But we
I have heard whispers of like, hey, if it's no longer on the platform, then it could be fair game. Like it sounds broadly based on like some of the people that I've talked to regarding the nature of Apple Arcade agreements that like, hey, Sega could like there's nothing to stop Sega from putting out Choo Choo Rocket Universe elsewhere if
I
they
hope not.
wanted to. It just seems like they don't want to, or it is a low priority right now. But
But
but yeah, if it seems like at some point Apple decides that, hey, we don't really need to keep this on our platform. We don't want to keep paying to continue to have Sonic on our platform. Maybe there's the option to have it go elsewhere, but there's a pretty good chance that while it's on Apple Arcade, it will be an Apple Arcade game and nothing else.
and there's also a chance that like
Mhm.
they have the rights in perpetuity or something like.
It would be
I don't
weird
know.
if it'd be weird if the agreements were like that, but you know, it's Sega, so agreements are always weird with Sega.
Like I don't know. Like I've heard I like I've heard some weird rights agreements over the years where like the company doesn't own the IP, but because they invest in that particular production, they own that production. That doesn't necessarily apply to this, but it's just like
Oh, like
just my
music rights.
like Adult Swim. They partially paid into Ghost in the Shell. Uh, I forget what standalone complex.
Yeah.
They don't own the Ghost in the Shell IP, but they can air that anime whenever they want because they put money into it. So
Like as
they
the
just permanently own
distributor,
the airing
sort
right.
of.
Yeah, yeah. So like maybe it's something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, we can only speculate at this point for this. It's sort of cut through a lot of the issues. Like number one, I get it. People have strong opinions about their phone OS provider. People have strong opinions about not being able to play a thing that they want to play, but also, hey, whether you think of it or not, Apple Arcade is as much of a no, Apple in general. Apple and Android and Steam are as much platforms as the Switch or the PS5 or the Xbox Series S. And
Apple Apple has 2 billion devices. Apple Arcade apparently has like at least 100 million subscribers. Like
yeah,
that's console maker size.
it's big. It's a big audience even if people do not like it. But also like this is just the nature of like how the series has been
Business.
in a long time. Like it
The Sonic was built to sell hardware. Like that was the purpose of the
well
IP originally.
I wasn't even going to say that. No, Sonic was built to be everywhere. Like consider when the series launched in the US is they went and got out two separate productions of cartoons. They want Sonic to be on everywhere, on everything, doing everything so that everyone has access to some form of Sonic. And sometimes that means, hey, we're going to go out to another company to get two PSP games. Will they ever come to anything else? No, they're going to be PSP exclusive games. Are we ever going to get ports of Sonic Rush? No, these are DS exclusive games. Like,
Yeah, like hell, Sonic like never reached Xbox and PlayStation for like 8 years. Like the Sonic IP is no stranger to exclusivity.
yeah, and more specifically, the Sega has a price. Like, you can
Yeah.
just
And
pay, and it's not
it
as
seems
high
there's
as
a
you
lot less
hoped.
outrage to it when it's like on a Nintendo system than when it's on anything else.
Yeah.
Because of course a lot more people have Nintendo hardware
No, they
than
don't.
made
No, they don't.
than would Apple. You don't think so?
No, I just think that more people in the game space are you know, you're going to have your Apple game hardware, but also something has to act as your phone, and it's sort of a different it's a different purchase process. It's a different mindset between thinking about your actual game consoles and your actual, phone.
I'll admit I'm kind of biased here because I've been an Apple person for like a decade now. I left Android behind a long time ago. Now I'm an all Apple person. I even have an Apple Arcade subscription already.
I mean, to
So
be
like,
fair,
I'm
given
already prepped for this.
to be fair, considering that every time we try to get together and do something with technology, it breaks. Having the platform that is least likely to just explode on you makes amount of sense.
Yes, thank you. Like, yeah, like Maddie understands this as well. It's like like one reason why I like Apple is because it's idiot proof. It doesn't break. It's great. It's very smooth. I love it.
Meanwhile, I do not like engaging with Apple products, and in part because I'm a cheap ass, and in part because like, hey, I like to mess with things more. I like having things more open to me. I like being weird and doing weird things and replacing my launcher and doing all of that in-depth stuff, and I have the time and interest in doing that. So it's like,
When I first
uh,
got an Android smartphone, one of the first things I did was download an emulator. The second thing I did was get a virus from that emulator
yeah,
from the Play Store. I
yeah,
haven't gotten that Apple.
it's not, it's, yeah, yeah, there's, I can't defend the security of Android, and especially like that's what I'll say is like, hey, I may like the Android interface more. I may like the cost of having an Android device more. I like the ways in which I can customize it more. But unfortunately, the reality is people who
What's
own Apple products are more willing to spend money. And in in an industry where companies need gamers to spend money on games to make those games survive, it makes sense to do this. Like Sega Sega has had some real flops in the mobile space. Like this needs to be
Yeah,
emphasized. They launched a Sakura Wars game that was free to play mobile, and it was a catastrophic failure. They pushed so much money into trying to take over that space as like, I think it was being pitched as like, this is our Fire Emblem or something like that. And it did awful. It died in a year. Then they went out.
Sonic Runners was going to be Sonic Team's big mobile Sonic game. Died in 9 months.
Yeah, it didn't last a year. And just like recently, they went to oh, who's the Nier Automata guy? Uh
Ah, I know who you're talking about. Yoko Taro. Yoko
Yoko Taro. They
Taro.
went to Yoko Taro and like, "Hey, Yoko Taro, make us this weird game." And he gave them like a gotcha waifu collector for anthropomorphized classic Sega games. It's going to be gone in January. Like it didn't even last a year. There's a reason why this is a good business wise. There's a reason why this is a good deal for Sega. If it seems like number one, Apple is paying for it, which that's the only way it makes sense for an exclusive is if Apple just covered development cost. And two,
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter to Sega if this actually gets downloaded and played. There's no risk there because Apple is taking on all the risk. They just get to enjoy the licensing and have Apple pay their development studio to develop the game. It's a pretty sweet deal for them,
Mhm, yeah.
even if I do not like the idea of having to own Apple hardware. It's like, no, this makes sense. If I was in that business position, I would do the same thing.
And it also makes sense for Apple since
Yeah,
they're trying to get more gamers onto Apple Arcade, and the best way to do that is to get games like this on there.
yeah. Hey, It would be good if that continued. If it would be good if we got more games from Hardlight that were not free to play gotcha crap. Because I will tell you, I despise. I have grown to absolutely despise any time I spend time with Sonic Forces Speed Battle. Sonic Forces Speed Battle is a freaking hustle. Like they want you to watch ads all the time. They're constantly upselling you. Well, you could get this key. Oh, you could buy this bundle. You could do this thing. It's like, I just want to play the game. Quit trying to upsell me like every race. Like, my God. The idea of just
I've just grown numb to that. I've grown numb to all that.
Well, I don't even bother with the ads at all.
I mean, my problem is, like, well, I'm trying to maximize my return, so I need to watch the ads, and so I watch the very, very concerning Hero Wars at, like, oh, have you seen Hero Wars ads lately? They're like just outright playing to kinks now.
I've mostly been playing Frosted. I've mostly been getting the Frosted Flakes ad, the Hot Wheels ad, and the Kings and the
You've been actually getting ads instead of ads that trying to make you buy download another game.
There is one that's trying to get me to download another game. It's like, I forget, Save the King series or something. But
I just keep getting.
But like, yeah.
I keep getting these ads for this mobile game Hero Wars. You've probably seen them, but it's the weirdest freaking thing ever. It just feels like every time it's playing to a new kink, it's like, oh, here's this giantess who's going to spit on your character, and oh no, it's made of acid and it kills them.
I used to get these ads like this about like a year ago.
What's going on here? I don't know. The fewer mobile ads I get to see, I am willing to happily have the service. It would be nice. I would love if Android had something commensurate. And I subscribed to Android service for a little bit, but it's just not the same. Like, it's not as good. Their app store is not as good. They don't have as many interesting things on there. And I mean, it just comes down to the fact that Android users, statistically speaking, aren't as willing to pay for things.
Royal Match, that's the game. It's where this king is always like in a death trap, and you have to watch him die over and over again.
Is it one of those ads where it's like, here, watch the player play very poorly several times in a row?
Yes.
Yes. And you know what they're doing.
The game, then you download the game, and it's nothing like it.
Watch a puzzle game that has nothing to do with what the actual game you're playing is.
Well, that's why there's the new parody of that.
Because it's the bonus level of that, basically.
There's a parody of that now on major consoles, and it has the stupidest names, like, you know those games? They're here. Play now, or something like that. Like, that's the actual name of the game, and you can get it, and it's just the games from those ads that they just made into a single game.
See, that's clever. That's clever.
It's kind of clever. But you know what else is clever? Putting a nice, sick intro video for this game.
Yes, and it is awesome looking.
Dang it!
It's really one of the best animated intro they've done in a while.
Yeah. Directed by Tyson Hess and Powerhouse, and has some T-Lopes music in the background. It looks good. It is profoundly anime. Like, it is very anime.
Well, again, it's wild to me that the Apple Arcade exclusive got the big Tyson Hess opening from like Powerhouse Animation, and the console Sonic game got the kind of the low frame rate anime studio one.
I still like it. I think it's fine. I think it fits with that. But
this one looks way better.
Well, you know what? Sure, that's fine. I will cop to that. Yes, it looks good. It's cool. It looks cool, I should say. And it comes out in a week. we've got a new Sonic game in a
Yep.
week, guys. Got a new
Technically,
Sonic
week
game
and
in
a
a week.
half, but yes. It comes out what, the 5th.
The
So that's
5th. It's a
Friday, I
week and a
think.
day. It's literally Tuesday
Oh.
next week.
Oh, okay. Whoa. Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a week and a day.
Interesting.
We've got a new Sonic game. They announced last. I
That's
still can't get over
well,
this.
I will say that that animated intro also seems to give might be giving a little bit of the story, the way it's showing that Cream at the beginning, but she's not with anybody else at
It
that
looks like
time. And I'm
Cream plays
wondering,
a central role in the plot, and we
yeah,
also get to see Ariam, who is
because
a
she shows up
ram.
later with Ariam on her own.
So the game
So
does
that's kind of
introduce a new
interesting.
character called Ariam. She's like a
Or
dream
is it
ram or
a
something.
ram? Yeah, she's well, we count sheep in your sleep, and she's
It's
kind of a
look,
ram type.
it's a play of words on Aries, the astrological
Yes.
sign, and of course REM, REM, rapid eye movement
Yeah,
sleep.
yeah.
So
So, is there anything from your Apple Arcade article that we haven't touched upon that you'd like to bring into this?
I don't know. Freaking, if you're mad about this, chill. Either watch a stream of it or get an Apple TV. Apple TVs aren't ridiculously expensive. I think they're like $100, and if you play it and then sell it off, you can make most of your money back. It's kind of a pain. People are putting their faith in the idea of like, oh, the community's going to be able to help us pirate this and
Yeah,
emulate it on
probably in like
PC.
5
It's like,
years or something.
yeah, like like look at the Apple emulation scene on PC. Like there is none. Like it is borderline nothing. It's like there was a conversation going on in the forums that was like, well, you could one of the options that you could build a Hackintosh. It's like, my dude, building a Hackintosh, number one, costs substantially more than getting an Apple TV, and number two, like it requires so much upkeep and management and like just making sure everything works together. Like you have to basically create a PC that will trick the OS into thinking that you're using Apple hardware, and that's not easy.
Like, look, this game is going to be compatible on some pretty old hardware, like the Apple iPhone 6s and the Apple TV from 2015. I do plan on running some tests on on some old hardware to see how well it performs, because it might run poorly. I don't know. But like the cost, if it can run decently on an Apple TV HD from 2015, then like you can get that for $80. Like, that's like $10 more than your than a brand new
Or
game.
you know what? If you don't want to own Apple hardware, you know what? Just don't get it. Like it's fine.
Yeah, I guess live without it.
People don't need to play every Sonic game. Like I'm the freak who has to do that. I don't recommend people do that. It's not a good experience.
Yeah, this game is like Sonic Adventure 3.
Sure it is.
No, it's not.
Every game's like Sonic Adventure 3.
It's the closest we've had to one since Sonic 06, I think.
No, so I would say Sonic Frontiers is closer to Sonic Adventure 3, honestly, now that the DLC's out. Like, honestly. Yeah.
Well, regardless.
Yeah. It looks interesting, but, just don't get weird about it. Like, I understand, like, some people have strong opinions about Apple. I certainly have strong opinions about Apple, but
I have strong opinions about Apple, but they're positive because I'm stupid.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Just don't and also don't assume you understand what this game is, because it's not out and they barely showed anything. So it's been frustrating and it's been ridiculous. That's my takeaway, is having to spend time in like looking at the community react to this thing at every level has been ridiculous.
I admit seeing people like whine about it constantly for weeks has been pretty annoying.
Well,
I
it's
don't think I've been this annoyed with the Sonic community in a couple of years.
like it's been the combination of people whining about it, but also people just assuming that they understand what it is when they haven't showed us anything. It'd be like saying,
Yeah,
"Oh,
seriously, there's
yeah,
been barely any glimpses of gameplay. We got these opening animation, and that's about it.
they've
And
literally
Oh,
showed
we got
us
a trailer full of gameplay.
they showed us 30 seconds of snippets of gameplay. I know, I have the trailer up loaded on my screen right now. It is 30 seconds long. Some of that is intro, but maybe 15 seconds to 20 seconds of that is actual gameplay. We don't know anything about this game. I want to emphasize that thoroughly. But let's
I
talk
just
about
have a
some different.
feeling this game's going to be like 3 hours long at the most.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be like a
I mean,
6-hour game.
I mean, Sonic
unless,
Generations wasn't a particularly long game, so like,
like,
so long as this game doesn't have a lot of fluff, I wouldn't expect much from the length.
yeah. I mean, again, like, I don't want to make assumptions because we just don't know. Like, we don't, without knowing the structure, we don't know how they'll approach the structure. We don't know how they'll reuse what they've got. But it's not going to be on par. Like, there's no way that this game, in terms of actual content, is going to be on par with like a Sonic Frontiers. Like, it can't.
Yeah.
It can't. Like, Apple would not want to pay for a Sonic Frontiers. But what apparently Marza's over there paying for is a new animated short.
Yeah,
that was a bit of
starring
a
the ghost.
surprise.
So
starring the
Okay.
ghost from Sonic Night of the Werehog.
yeah, so I have not watched this. Have you guys watched this?
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, it's
It was
cute.
cute.
It's there for some reason Marza has made like the mermaid ghost their kind of mascot. They really like her, and if you follow them on Twitter, they use drawings of her quite a bit, and I think that's what this is going on here. They're just kind of a continuation of the ghosts and her character. It's just a very short one, and they have some like mini children ghosts in this one too.
Cool.
Yeah, I
And
don't
it
want to know where
lasts
she got
about
those
3
from.
minutes. Yeah, it lasts about 3 minutes long.
Well,
And that's about it.
Alex, obviously from Dead Children. Duh.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense than ghost reproduction.
But yeah, it.
Well, yeah. Plus, she looks like a very young ghost character, like maybe like in her early teens.
I
So
am
I don't
not
think that
going.
would be
I
kind
am
of
not going to
appropriate.
assess the age of children ghosts. That's 2 layers of. That's one layer of abstraction, and then there's another layer of it being very weird. So no, let's move on.
It's weird.
So the so like the sequence was just her like the guy ghosts were like lifting things for her, and she was like super impressed. And then she wanted to lift a piano, but she couldn't. I guess she just doesn't have like the ghost juice or something.
Well, she doesn't have quite the
And
strength to lift a piano. They don't really either. And it shows her
yeah,
finally lifting piano, but it's actually the two ghosts just using all of their strength to lift that piano in the air as
and
best they
after that
can.
she tries to do the same thing to a tree, and I guess the guy ghosts are just stuck doing this now for a while.
So
But it was cute, and in addition to that,
Yeah,
we also,
yeah.
in an unrelated thing, we also got some insight into the rights of the ghosts. Apparently, they technically belong to Marza, which, while owned by Sega, means that the Sonic branch of Sega cannot like just use it willy nilly.
don't tell
And
that to
like they had
IDW.
no, IDW like had to go through a special
Oh.
process to get permission from Marza to include the cameo.
It makes sense. Like we're not going
And
to
Flynn confirmed it on his podcast.
It makes sense. Like we're not going to be like, oh, here's the video game. Here's the next Sega crossover racing game with Detective Conan. I do want that. I want Detective Conan and Lupin the Third in the next crossover racing game, please. Yes, please. I want that very much.
Lupin and his like trademark buggy or whatever that car was.
He comes with
That'd be
12
awesome.
different alternate jacket colors. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool that they're still, continuing with that. And
And I can only imagine you're probably gonna get more now that they've come back.
here and there, like I'm trying to think of the last major project that like the last major project I can think of from Marza that isn't just doing more cutscenes and Sonic movie work is the Lupin the Third, the First feature film. They
Oh,
probably
that was an awesome movie.
It was a very good movie. But other things coming back for the Sonic movie is Jack Specific. They will be making the toys for it.
Yes, and the most non-shocking announcement we've had so far. Yes, Jack Specific, which has had an ongoing relationship with Sega, is going to keep making Sonic toys.
Take that, I don't know, Tomy? Yeah, they last movie they did some pretty interesting things. They made some pretty interesting choices. They got the Dr. Robotnik robot thing. You got a tornado or no, not the tornado, but you got a biplane piloted by
you sent me
Tails.
that for Christmas, I think, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So hopefully there will be interesting things along those lines that, dorky adults like us would find fascinating.
And hopefully that it will actually be available in stores, and I won't just like, I don't know, have to wait for someone else in another part of the country to send it to me.
Okay, what's your over under on CG Rouge? Are we expecting a CG Rouge?
Like, I think we could get CG Rouge, but man, like depending on how close we want to adhere to things, we need Rouge, Amy, and Shadow. I don't know.
There was a weird moment where a rumor was passing around because someone ultimately decided to just be like, well, I'm gonna go on. I am in a an animation publication outlet. If I just go on IMDb, I can just use whatever's there. And found someone wrote just a bunch of nonsense and posted
I
it.
haven't actually read through that, but it seems really stupid. Like they go to Egypt or something.
They go to Egypt. They find a pink hedgehog who can tell the future. Which, sure, I mean that's fine. But apparently, Dr. Robotnik is back from hell. It's like what? I was like, okay, if I were to
hell part to come from.
Well, there's three ways that I could sort of analyze that. Way number one is it's Paramount, and Paramount's crazy. Like Paramount, nothing has to make sense. The other part is like, okay, well, if you're going to find a way to keep the spirit, pun intended or not, I don't know, of Carrie's Eggman, but not have Carrie, like that's a way to do it, I guess.
I admit I can like imagine Carrie just climbing out of hell covered in soot or something, but
I can't
or they could like just.
The problem is I can imagine him doing that, but in the Ace Ventura outfit. It's like just any character that Jim Carrey has ever made crawling out of hell is like, sure.
But like I'm gonna keep saying this. This is the perfect way to handle it. Like if you absolutely need Eggman back, just like have him be a brain, transfer him into the body of Jack Black. Boom. Problem solved. No more Jim Carrey, and you got a better Eggman.
I propose Goodman. I think he would be a perfectly good Eggman.
Goodman would be interesting.
He would.
Although you know what, he might also be a good Gerald. He can be a really nice guy or a really
he would be a pretty good Gerald.
He'd be a good Gerald. I don't think he'd be a good Eggman. He's a little old for the role. I think now
he has gotten old. I will admit that.
Fair. However, not only will Sonic 3...
And he's also not as heavy as he used to be. He's lost quite a bit of weight.
Good for him. However, beyond Sonic 3 having Shadow, we will also be getting Shadow in another format soon in Lego form. So
Very soon.
Yay.
Apparently, it drops December 1st.
it drops like this week. Is it this week?
This week, this Friday. This Friday.
Cool. I'll have to maybe consider putting it in order. I don't know. I'll see how my finances are. But yeah,
It
we're
looks more basic than I was expecting from these sets. Like it's just a couple small Lego pieces, really,
well,
or Lego thingies.
I'm
builds.
wondering how well these are doing or what their strategy is, because I can tell you offhand, like, this isn't the normal release strategy for Legos. Legos don't usually, like, put out bits and pieces of a series in this way. Typically, you'll have, like, a big wave go through, and then waiting for about 6 months or so, and then another big wave goes through, and then you wait another 6 months, and then it just goes in cycles like that. Like Mario went through like that. You got a whole bunch of things all at once, and then you've got a wait until the next thing. Like seasons, I guess you could call it, or something. But this has been like, we got our big wave of it to start, but like Shadow's coming out next month. Then the next thing coming out, which we just got our first views of, is the Knuckles set, which is coming out the 1st of January, according to the rumor.
And it is an even stranger set. Like the Shadow set,
Yeah,
that is Shadow riding a motorcycle, and you've got like the cryo tube or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of makes sense for him.
However,
But with Knuckles,
and I want to point out a detail on it. His motorcycle does have the game symbol. Like, it does have the symbol from Shadow the Hedgehog on it. So it is his motorcycle.
But like with Knuckles,
Cool.
But Knuckles,
Yeah, and when you
driving
think
back.
of the Knuckles playset, you think like Angel Island and the Master Emerald on top.
which you
And
have,
maybe
you
Rouge
have
for that.
you have the Master
And
Emerald,
you
you have Rouge, and whenever like, if I'm thinking of Knuckles,
And
like,
that's really, I was gonna say that's really all you need, right?
yeah, it's, well, like the early rumors of this were it was called something like Knuckles Mech something or other, and I was like, okay, well, that means like, hey, you're gonna get Knuckles and it's gonna be Rouge, and they're going to be fighting some sort of Eggman mech or something. But no, that's not what we're getting. We're getting Knuckles with a mech suit.
Yeah, fighting Rouge on a goblin glider.
Like, nope, no other character has gotten like a mech. Like, all the other stuff so far has been like, oh, here's Sonic, and Sonic has the DJ set that you can do, and you can put him in a loop, and here's Tails, and Tails has this workshop, and Amy gets to hang out with the animal friends in Green Hill, and Eggman has the big Eggman robot and stuff. But this was like, wait, what? Why is Knuckles getting a mech suit?
And like, this is why I figured,
is
okay,
Amy
for
in
Knuckles,
a tiny little flying jet when she could just fly on her own?
and I figured because of those other sets that for Knuckles, like we'd be getting maybe like the Master Emerald Shrine. You know, we build the Master Emerald Shrine with Knuckles on it. But no, he's like just driving a robot version of himself. He even has like the Lego things on his feet.
Oh yeah, it has the things on his feet. It has spikes on the fist. It also has 2 guns on the side, because that's a thing that Knuckles does or has. It's like the one like, here's the thing. Of all the characters that would have a mech suit, have access to a mech suit, and know how to operate a mech suit, I'm not thinking Knuckles. I'm not thinking Knuckles.
Eggman or Tails, yeah, but not Knuckles.
You could even make a good argument for like Sonic, like make it look like his Speedstar car or something. Heck, you could give Rouge the mech suit and be like, well, this is the only way that she could one-on-one, mano-a-mano, like fight Knuckles with fists. But no, Knuckles has the mech suit because why?
Because children's toy.
Yeah, because
I can only assume that they just didn't. They just ran out of ideas or something. Like maybe they didn't think the Master Emerald Shrine was interesting.
Who knows?
So they just gave him a mech suit.
It does make me wonder, like, what is the actual longevity of this set? What is the actual longevity of, like, the Sonic set? Because it's whenever we're getting, like, small sets like this just doled out a little bit at a time, kinda makes me worried that they might not be going very long or far with it. I don't know have any sales data to justify either way, but it is kind of like the
Well,
worry I have.
Minecraft
Huh.
has like a lot of little sets and stuff like this. Nothing too
Okay.
important.
I
And it's been going on for years and years.
Yeah, but Minecraft still goes by this traditional wave format. Like, I don't know. I we'll just call it anxiety about that. So, yeah.
Eh. Like, as someone who doesn't really like Lego, I don't care.
You're not go- you're I'm going to ensure that you have access to this Knuckles mech, sir.
God damn it.
Yeah.
When I said that, I didn't think it was going to be a goddamn mech suit.
What else would it
I,
be?
I want them to somehow put that in the
I
comic
thought
and,
the location from the
give a story
games.
explanation of how of Knuckles protecting the Master Emerald with a mech suit.
Obviously, it was going to be Knuckles with a mech
Knuckles
suit.
is tired of dealing with this stuff, and so he asked Tails to build him a goddamn mech suit.
Maybe it's ancient echidna check that's far more advanced than he's
That
ever
looks
realized.
exactly like Knuckles.
That's-
It looks
it's
exactly like him,
Hey,
except the
if
robot
we're going-
has
if we're going Like
biceps.
Ken Pender's ideas of echidnas, they all look exactly like Knuckles.
Speaking of things that all look the same, hey, Roblox is getting some Sonic stuff. Like
Yeah,
Roblox
this
proper.
is
It's
Man,
this
I
is
don't-
a thing.
yeah,
I
like
almost didn't include this, but you promised me that you would complain.
okay, I'll complain. It's not that this immediately bothers me. It's that it's the degrees to which it wants you to spend money. And sure, okay. So it's going to be approaching Christmas, and like generally speaking, this year, kids are not necessarily asking for traditional toys in the same way. They want tech and they want virtual currency. If they want their Z-Bucks, they want their Roblox bucks, they want I don't know what they want subscriptions to Apple Arcade or some streaming or whatever. They want bits to give their favorite streamer. Who cares? Uh but also like the denominations are here are like, hey, get these digital Roblox cards and we will get you a backpack with a Sonic character. It's like, okay, Amy is a $10, $15, $20 card. Like, okay, that's reasonable. Then we step up to Knuckles. Like, Knuckles is if you get a 25, 30, 40. It's like, number one, why are we having these weird denominations of like, does Roblox have denominations graded by $5? Like, is this how we're doing it? Then we get up to Tails. It's like, okay, Tails, like 50, 75, 100. Wait, what? Wait, hold on. We're going up to 100? And then to get Sonic,
Oh my god!
you have to put in a Robux card of 125, 150, or 200. What are you doing that you're putting $200 in one go for Robux? I just Black
Or
Friday
Sonic the Hedgehog cosmetic. That should be illegal, man. That's so exploitive.
Yeah, that is insane.
I just 120'd my
I
way
did
into a
not know
Black
the
Friday
details
deal.
about this until now, and it really sickens me.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It seems strange and mildly exploitative. Like, hey, if you don't like the cost of Apple Arcade, well, for the same price, you could get a Sonic backpack in Roblox. So,
Like when I heard about this a few weeks ago, I was all like, "Wow, who the hell would get this?" This like Imagine spending $125 for a digital backpack.
well, it's not even
And like,
that.
okay,
It's
technically, like you're not spending it on the backpack, but you have to spend that much to get the backpack.
No, it's
It's
even
still not
worse.
great.
No, it's even worse because you can't just get 2 100 Robux cards and put those in for cash. No, you have to have a Robux card or Robux code that is worth 125, 150, or 200. Like, you can't put
Yeah.
2 together and just get that. You'll just wind up with 2 tails or something.
And so let's see. So the minimum you would need to spend to get all 4 of these is
Which you shouldn't.
35, 50, that's 85. That's 85, and 125. Okay. Let's see. 185. I think that's $210. If the math in my head is correct. For the $10, $25, $50, and $125 codes.
Your math is correct. Yes, it's $210. Oh my god.
That is insane.
And that's to say, like, oh, if you can find cards of that amount, because like I said, like, devoid of everything else, this is implying that there are 12 different degrees of Robux cards that you could realistically purchase. Not like buy an adaptable amount, like buying, like, hey, I want $25 on this card. No. They are apparently putting out gift cards of these specific amounts. That's weird.
On Amazon. It's
That's
on Amazon.
weird.
I've never seen that at a store. Like, they usually have like 2 varieties at a store.
Yeah.
I only even noticed that because they look just like Steam cards, and I do
Yeah.
actually get those on occasion.
I've seen I forget what I was gonna say, but I've seen a series of very interesting game cards these days for that kind of thing. But one thing I have not seen, and will never see, and am better for it, is the Paramount Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Xbox, which apparently has transferred. The curse has been moved from one soul to another.
Yeah, it sold for $5,000 on eBay. No, like
Jeez.
earlier in the month, we did report that it was being listed, but it did actually sell for that price.
I hate this
Man,
console
if
so.
only I had a spare $5,000.
To what? To torture me with? Congratulations, have a curse, Chris. Oh. But yeah, like, these are the ones where the controllers look like Muppets and have to be completely unusable. Like,
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine the amount of sweat from your hands and grease or whatever that would get all over those things? They would become this
I didn't know how you would
mucky,
clean it.
disgusting thing in no time.
just throw it in the throwing it in the washing machine. Put it on delicate as you hear it rolling around in there. Oh god, it looks like Cookie Monster and Elmo. Like, oh, let's
Skinned alive and turned into
And
controller.
the seller never used it, so we don't have any impressions on
I
how
should
the
hope
controllers are
not.
used.
I should hope not. I think there's another one of those floating around there, isn't there? There were like 2 editions or something.
Somewhere at least 50 were made apparently.
Why? Why would you do this?
Well, I hope they'll send a free one to you.
But yeah. One thing that I am segueing into is that Kishimoto was talking about the future of the Sonic series and what their general aims for are at Sonic Team. And they want... Okay, so, like, hey, this is the headline thing, but let's be real, like, sure, it's not really the body of what he was saying. And it's the idea that, like, hey, he wants Sonic to catch up to Mario, in a way. And, like, the real answer is, yeah, of course you do. Like, hey, I get the reason why you say that. There's some other weird stuff in there. He kind of talks about the mod scene and how that influenced other like how far they wanted to go with the DLC, and he makes so. I'm trying to understand like some of the translations of it, but at least some part of the translation, I thought he said like, well, like, what isn't Sonic Frontiers doing that these other open world games are? And that was weird. It's a weird interview. Is this a weird interview? It's a weird interview.
I don't know. I didn't have much time to read it. Dread was the one that actually reported on it. Well, Dread and you apparently.
Yeah. But yeah, it makes look like, hey, we can make our jokes about Sonic, about them wanting Sonic to be as big as Mario. We all know it's not going to happen. I am sure that they even know that it's not going to happen. But also, it's an interview. It's like an interview for them promoting their own thing. That, like, you don't say, no, we're gonna suck. We're gonna make sure that we're gonna suck for the next few years.
Aspiring to be as good as Mario is a fine goal. Of course, like one of the key differences between Mario and Sonic, is ignoring everything else, is that like the new Mario game that was made on basically like unlimited time and budget.
Sure.
So like, you know, the Mario devs, they have time to just make and perfect every single one of their ideas, whereas like Sonic games, like, you know, Sega just doesn't have that kind of budget for one. They've got to get that Sonic game out at least within 5 years.
Yeah, it's they don't have the time. They clearly don't have the budget. I'm going to say they probably do not have the talent or the pipeline of development ideas.
Yeah.
It's never going to get to that level. I mean, even I was going to eventually make an article on how I think 2D Sonic is far superior to 2D Mario, and then Wonder Super Mario Brothers Wonder comes out and just blows the water off of Sonic Superstars and just completely killed my point, so I didn't even bother.
Yeah,
It's just 3D Mario's always going to be way better than Sonic in that regard. It's unless they, Sonic Team just completely gets a new batch of developers and nobody is left behind from their previous generation or something.
All that said, like, so I watch a humorous game news program called Checkpoint, operated by like Loading Area Run, and all the jokes aside, like, one of the people on it just kind of made the point of like, hey, to some degree, yeah, it's always nice to be aiming for something that high. It makes sense too, but also like, there's an element of appreciating that, like, maybe Sonic makes more sense as sort of this multimedia thing than just like, hey, let's make the best games that we are going to. Because, like, the things that Mario doesn't have, yeah, he just got the movie in, and yes, it made more money than God, but Sonic's still like trucking along. They have the well thought of movie series for that. They're on their third entry plus TV show. They've got the Netflix series. They've got the long running IDW series that apparently seems to be financially propping up the company. Maybe, I don't know. It's kind of worth appreciating. Like, there are still things that Sonic does that the Mario series is not interested in doing, for better or for worse, and sometimes it's just because, Sega's very quick to adapt Sonic to whatever is coming next, and, sometimes it's because Sega is not worried about things like dignity.
I am happy to see that Sonic Team is paying attention to the community. especially what the modding community is doing. Like
That surprised
that,
me.
that does kind of make some of the patches that they've made in recent years in recent months make a little more sense. Like,
Yeah.
you know how they did all those physics patches for Frontiers, and they did they removed the smoothing in Origins, and these were all like community problems that like the average Joe probably wouldn't care about. But like it is showing increasing attention to detail that I think will eventually serve them well with the community.
It will. It does come with the caveat that, like, it would be nice if they, did that before instead of, introducing it as a patch. We would hope that they would kind of foresee the issues and address them before you release a game, but
Right.
better late than never, I suppose. It is but yeah, I'll 100% cop to. Yeah, it's interesting that Kishimoto might be looking at like mods of what people are doing and where people are looking to go with the series, especially if it drives him to do things like, okay, these are the ways that we can handle multiple characters. We're going to make them more interesting than things the community themselves are doing, or these are the other things that we can add. This is the whole new extra story that we can make with this. Yeah. Some other things that they are apparently making is money. And
Yeah, Sonic is still doing very well.
Sonic's still doing very well for Sega. Apparently, the series has just shifted 1.6 billion downloads, which definitely is a lot. Let's not understate that it is a lot, but it does include things like free to play downloads. So, it's a little bit propped up by by making numbers look good for an earnings report, which is what earnings report are for doing, making things look good.
Yeah, but so Sonic Frontiers itself has sold 3 point. Oh wait, okay. So I guess they didn't give us an update on Sonic Frontiers sales. Last we heard was that it sold 3.2 million
And
at the
that
end of
number's
March
pretty old at this
2023.
point. So,
Yeah, like it is unfortunate that they don't like consistently just give us software unit numbers. That's one thing I appreciate about Nintendo with
well,
their earnings report.
well, right now I don't think they want to give a lot of Japanese superstar numbers and highlight those because I talked to someone who really follows those Famitsu numbers, and superstars did not hit in Japan.
Yeah, it sold 4,000 units,
Yeah, it wasn't good.
which like Sonic has never been
That's
especially
a
popular
shock.
in Japan, and I guess that still hasn't really changed.
It might help if you have the massive marketing explosion that they did for Frontiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't Frontiers do pretty well in Japan?
Yeah, Frontiers did, compared to how Japan usually buys Sonics. Frontiers did fairly well indeed. Like, it was.
I remember what I heard was that like Frontiers was the most successful Japanese game since I think Sonic Adventure.
I think it was one of the.
Sonic Heroes, I believe I heard.
I think
Oh
it
no,
was.
no, Sonic Heroes was worldwide.
I think it was like number 11 in the year of sales or something in Japan. The year it
Huh.
released, it did
I hadn't
pretty
heard
well.
of that.
So while we're shifting gears, I'm gonna mix things up and let's talk about Sonic Prime because we're getting a date for that.
January 11th, finally, it's coming.
We will never have a month without a major Sonic thing happening. It's just never ending.
Yep. Knuckles is gonna come out
In February.
in February, and then like I don't know, March maybe we'll get
a new game that they haven't announced yet, or DLC for Sonic Superstars. And then for some reason in May, they will push up the Sonic 3 movie for no good reason. They're just gonna push it up and be like, yeah, it's there now. It's in May.
Well, we don't want to go head to head with that Lion King prequel, so.
But yeah, it has a release date. We got a little snippet of basically following up to the ending of the previous one, probably what's going to be the first episode of this slot, where they have defeated the
Chaos Council.
Chaos Council. That was the word I was looking for, and as such are now going through the strife of, hey, Nine does not believe the things that we believe. He is going to actively be the antagonist. And he is able to just create robots, so...
Yeah, he created a new Chaos Sonic. He created, like, metal versions of Sonic's other friends. As well as a giant bird.
Shadow. It looked like it was a Shadow's kind of paint job to it.
Yeah.
But as Sonic Prime continues, we are unfortunately looking at a hiatus for the comics.
Yep. Because of the Fang comic.
Yeah. So
well, the Fang comic miniseries, they're using it as an excuse to take a hiatus from the comic for a while.
Right.
They're just get their mojo back, I guess.
Specifically, what they said on Blue Sky was that they're giving the Fang comic time to breathe.
Right. And basically, it just means, like, hey, they will still be releasing a game or a comic. It's just that that comic's going to be focused on, like, the classic series with Fang, and then eventually, whenever that ends, we'll probably get right back to the main storyline, which, let's... The interesting thing is, like, hey, at some point we will need some sort of a break from the comic has to shift gears at some point, because we know everything that they're doing now is considered pre-Frontiers.
Yep.
And we're eventually going to have
to go post-Frontiers.
Yeah, whenever we figure out what exactly...
Now, my theory here is that IDW probably has issues with the logistics of running 2 monthly series for too long. Yeah. They did this before with Imposter Syndrome, where the comic went bi-monthly for 8 months. And I'm thinking that maybe they don't have the funds, or maybe they just they don't have the ability to because they delay the comic book a lot. IDW's just known for that. So it's either a financial or a logistics issue.
Or both.
I would say.
Or one leading to the other.
Yeah.
Plus, it kind of killed a little bit of the pacing when they kept going from one comic to the other one.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
You forget what would happen in the last, issue.
I'm hoping this is ultimately better for the main series, though. I hope it has time to breathe and it comes back strong afterwards, because I still feel up and downs with it. I don't dislike it, but I do feel okay, this is an arc I really like. This is an arc I feel kind of iffy about. Oh, this arc is pretty okay. This arc, and
for me, it's the arc starts out interesting, and then I'm disappointed by the resolution.
Yeah, I don't think the Eggperial City did a whole lot for me. It had some interesting moments, but I don't think it really had much of a thing going on, nor does it feel like it had a lot of consequences, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing about IDW is that it's kind of hard for them to do consequences for the game cast.
Well, we still have the side story going on with Silver and Mimic. That's Silver.
Which shockingly got just kind of cut off on the last 2 issues for a completely different side story.
Yeah,
which we will be discussing next month after GX has had time to read it.
You don't need to wait. Yeah. You don't need to have me on to discuss comics.
Yes, we do.
I'm bad at reading comics on whenever they come out.
I'm gonna start reminding you.
What I'm
I'm
better
gonna
at
do it.
keeping up with is tabletop games, and we got a new tabletop game announced. Sonic Roll. We had Kess, which is like this tabletop game and like outdoor novelty toy company, and announcing, "Hey, we have the Sonic license, and we're gonna make games and outdoor novelties." And I was like, "Cool." I have no idea what kind of thing this company would make, and it turns out they're making a semi-cooperative dice-based game where themed around classic Sonic, and it looks interesting. I don't know what to make of it, but they got who for the cover again? They got
AC Yardley.
Yardley, yeah. I almost I
I love
almost said
Yardley's work.
Spaziante, but I knew it wasn't him. So yeah, they got Yardley to make a classic Sonic cover for it, and it looks interesting. They crib a lot of the Sonic Mania aesthetics, which I like. Sonic Mania has really cool aesthetics, and I think if you're gonna steal anything, like, yeah, steal the aesthetics of Sonic Mania. But
Yep.
we don't have like an exact date for it. It's coming out like I think early next year, and I believe it will be hitting PAX Unplugged. So decent
Yeah.
chance
Well.
we'll start seeing some more stuff about it in the near future. And yeah, you probably have noticed I've shifted some things around because I think one of the last things I want to talk about is going to be the most important. So so let's talk about a little bit about Superstars again. We talked a little bit about its sales and how well it did not do in Japan. However, in the US, seems like it's doing okay.
Yes. So on the Circonic Sharks, which ranks games by revenue, it placed ninth. For October.
Seems okay. Like, I'm trying to think of what else. Considering everything else that was in October, like, October was amazing. October was insane.
Yeah, October
Yeah.
gave us Spider-Man and Mario.
Yeah,
Now, the
yeah.
reason why I say ranked by revenue is that like it is one of the few $70 games in the $60 games in the top 10.
It's, well, $60 game, but also, hey, we would like you to buy our $70 version. It has extra skins. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's just, compare it's you're gonna compare it to Sonic Mania no matter what, and that was what,
yeah.
a $30 to $40 game at the time.
I mean,
No,
look,
And
it
even
was a $20 game.
look, I
it,
still
wa- it,
stand
wa-
I still stand by the fact that if they knew Mania was going to pop off like it was, they would have charged more for it. Like, I don't think they understood that there was still demand for that kind of game. I don't think they were making games that were going to have that kind of demand. I still don't think that that Sonic Team themselves are interested in making this kind of game with that kind of with that specific 16-bit kind of
Well,
aesthetic.
they specifically said that like sprite artwork is dead.
Yeah,
It's not the future,
which
which I
is
disagree with.
dumb, but I think that's more for economic reasons.
Like Dave the Diver, which is this game from this like major publisher, is one of the Game Awards nominees for Indie Game of the Year because it has sprite artwork.
Yeah. But look, I think it just comes down to number one, who in Sonic Team is really going to be their sprite artwork person. I don't necessarily think they have. How should I put this? I've heard the argument before that, like, if you're a modern game company, like if you're like a big modern game company, you're going to be more likely to find someone who can rig a 3D model than can make you a full, completely thorough sprite sheet. Like, I understand that the indie space a little bit different with a little bit more esoteric requirements, but it's part of like what is the talent that is out there. But also like I think 3D just has this artificially inflated sense of value where
It
like
looks more modern.
it looks more
It's
modern,
more
but also
expensive.
it looks more expensive. Like, hey, we can charge more because this is 3D, whether it's justifiable or not. But also it probably is just to some extent easier for them, given
I mean,
like
it's definitely easier because, like, instead of having to draw each individual frame,
yeah.
you take a model and you can just, like, manipulate skeleton to do animations.
Yeah, and then if you need to then reuse that over multiple instances, you can do so without having to start from scratch. So,
Like, certainly it's the only way they could do the skins like they did.
yeah. Yeah.
It should be noted that during the Black Friday sale, the $40 Sonic Superstars, once it went down to 40 on Black Friday, it did sell out the Switch version.
On Amazon, yeah.
Yeah, on Amazon.
It's yeah, I mean, look, there's another good reason why they can charge 60 for it. And it's because they're going to get dumb idiots like us paying full price plus bonus, and then they can sell it at the price that they expect to sell it come Black Friday. Come the holiday season, they can start going on to their,
True.
"Oh, okay, they'll go on our sales thing, and we can sell it at the normal we can sell it at a price that people might actually buy it for."
Like hell, I think Sonic Frontiers went on sale for Black Friday, and it came out in November.
Oh yeah, it was on a pretty decent discount by that point. So Sega discounts their games hard and fast, and we suffer for it. We suffer for their for their sense of value. But yeah,
Well, you guys do. I get review copies these days, so I've been good
damn it.
lately.
Good.
um,
We also got some crazy stuff going on in Sonic Dash and Sonic Forces Speed Battle. Yeah, Sonic Forces Speed Battle, right?
yeah, like
Right?
so in Sonic Prime Dash, we finally got actual like Sonic Prime content outside of character skins. We
Yeah.
got the
We got
new
New York City.
New York City, and we got the baby
Dr.
Dr. Baby
Babel.
Boss,
Yeah.
which I need to get around to playing that.
Yeah. This is of course the Netflix exclusive version. So it's not like you're going to load up the standard Android free to play version and just have access to this. This is specifically the version that they have as part of the Netflix subscription. So it's called Sonic Prime Dash or Sonic Dash Prime. You get it with the subscription to Netflix. And it's basically a little bit like the Apple Arcade stuff, where just by having the subscription, you can play it, and it doesn't have like any microtransactions or anything.
Yeah.
So,
but
hey,
it's kind of the first major new content a Sonic Dash game's gotten in a bit,
and a new boss. Let's not underestimate the value of that.
Haven't gotten that since Zaz.
Yeah. They've only had the two bosses forever. I think for a short period of time they had like one of the Pac-Man boss ghosts whenever they very briefly had that Pac-Man event, but they have not had a new like you either get Robotnik and hearing the same lines over and over again, or you get Zaz hearing the same lines over and over again.
Yeah, they could have given us an infinite boss in Sonic Dash.
They could have given us so many things. Imagine like one of the Sonic Frontiers, just any of the boss characters, not like the massive ones, but like Ninja or Tower or something that they could have just added to it with some sort of Sonic Frontiers thing. Yeah, it's odd, but you know what? It gives something to actually differentiate that version of the game for the Netflix version, because otherwise it's just, hey, here's another version of Sonic Dash, except we have some things preliminary unlocked.
And in addition to that, we also got Surge. Yes,
Yep, we got
another
Our
IDW
third
character.
IDW character in a Sonic game.
indeed quickly becoming fan favorite antagonist. Our Scourge analog, like
And because she's an electric character, she will be one of the most trolly characters in the entire goddamn game because electric attacks are the worst in Sonic Forces.
what other character has electric stuff?
Well, movie Sonic, baby movie
Oh,
Sonic,
okay.
Shadow. And once they're at a high enough level and they're just dropping lightning all the time, you're done.
Well, don't worry, they're a promotional character, so no one will ever get them to a high enough level.
No, people do. I have encountered like maxed out versions of those characters. It's very annoying.
That's
I've already been
upsetting.
racing against level 7 Surges, and I don't even know how that happens unless there's spending ridiculous amounts of money or something.
Surge is getting is getting like gives you like challenge boxes, which gives you lots of cards. So assuming you have enough rings, you could level her up pretty quickly. That's assuming you have enough rings.
So,
Right.
so who else from IDW would you want to see?
Well, I mean, at this point, we just need to get Kit because obviously,
Kit's a more like, I'm just gonna say this. Kit is the more interesting character between the two.
in terms of ability or in terms of character.
Both.
All right.
I'm gonna say both. But I don't know.
But obviously, what I want is Starline.
Yeah.
I want Starline.
Yeah, Starline be pretty good. Starline be pretty
Like-
good. It would be weird considering the
He's
current place he's in the IDW series. Thank you for being a spoiler, Jason. But okay, I guess
Oh my
people
God,
can't have
it's been
fun.
2
years ago.
years. It's been 2 years.
Has
for
it been
God's
2
sake.
years? I thought it was like
yeah,
1 year.
It's like calling Aerith died in Final Fantasy VII a spoiler.
Okay,
Everyone knows.
if you say so. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of like who else would make a lot of sense.
I mean, Lanolin, obviously. Like,
yeah, she'd be pretty good.
like
be pretty
the way
good.
her wisp works, and like technically because she has sound-based moves. There's a Amy skin that also uses sound-based moves, and so they can just like transfer some of those attacks over. Now Mimic would probably be hard because his whole thing is he can like copy other characters.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Can I get, and my names are escaping me right now. Can I get the puppet character?
Oh,
Can I get
Belle?
Belle? Yeah.
Yeah, Belle. Like,
Can I get Belle? What's it gonna
I'm
take
sure
to
they
get
could
Belle?
include Belle.
She'll have.
She can pull her tail and kick herself forward.
She's gonna have the best animations. Like, she's gonna have the absolute best animations.
I mean, technically
get rough
Belle
and
is a
tumble in there.
pacifist, but like whatever. This game isn't canon.
Well, they're not attacking each other; they're racing.
Oh, I want to see.
No, you attack each other while you're racing.
I want to see her in Sonic Dash
Yeah,
fighting
but
the
non-lethal.
bosses. But yeah, seems good. We are getting another McDonald's promotion. It's coming to Portugal, and
it's coming to a bunch of
Stay there and
countries.
see what the toys look like.
it's very weird. It's just the characters, and they ride skateboards, except the skateboards have massive wheels.
And it's also going to be coming to like Europe, Canada, the UK. Like Portugal was the first one to get announced, but it sounds like it's basically coming everywhere except the US.
Yeah,
And
so.
yeah, like the toys do look pretty cheap. Like just just roll them around on skateboards or whatever.
They'll probably be
They look
another.
like those Subway ones from back in the day.
So are we not discussing the SAG-AFTRA stuff?
So we're gonna move into that one because I thought that was there's two things that I think are worth very much discussing, especially
Okay.
together, and especially give them the gravitas that they really deserve. And first and foremost, hey, SAG-AFTRA strike has ended. Sonic 3 is either has begun filming or will be.
They have not announced. They have not announced it yet, but it's expected to happen soon.
Cool,
Well, I
cool.
mean, there has been some filming done just without the actors, so we know of
Yeah,
that
for
much at
CG
least.
characters.
Yep.
But hey, resolution for the actors.
Yep.
Now, technically, it's not resolved until December 5th because everyone needs to vote on it.
Right.
And maybe it won't pass. We don't know yet.
Yeah, right now it's assuming that like, hey, for them to be announcing something, they are at least, expecting that this is going to be satisfying enough to get majority support here. So,
Yeah.
it's good. The actors deserve compensation, especially in this time where the nature of the business is changing. And I to get into slight politics, yes, this is something that I personally support. So, what I also support is for game companies to move into unions. And
Are you saying that you're not a union buster, GX? You're pro union?
now that weapon is in Mega Man and Base, and I have not played that one. I have not played. I have not been able to collect or defeat Union Man and get the Union Buster.
Wait. Mega Man is against unions?
I don't
Oh
know. I'm
man,
just
I
I'm
had
just
no
making some
idea.
crap up. No, but Sega apparently is. Yeah,
That's
Boo!
unfortunate.
yeah.
That's
This
I'm
very
is
unfortunate,
disappointed.
considering we have a podcast on one of their characters.
so.
But yeah,
It's just a massive disappointment because we saw this strike coming earlier in the year, and so Sega of America seemed like it was okay with it and everything, and allowing it to go through, and now this happens.
basically, from what I've gathered, they basically like sidestepping the union to lay off a bunch of part-time employees rather than make them full-time.
Yeah. Also, you can't you can't do that. Like that's an
Yeah,
actual crime. To not to
yeah.
just try to go around the union and make this happen like that.
There's a reason why companies don't just fire all of their unionized workers. They legally can't.
Unless they're Bandcamp. So we'll see how that goes as well. Oh, this is it's a freaking mess. Like that's the best way I can. That's the politest possible way I could put it. Is that it's a freaking mess, and it makes Sega look awful and petty and uh, like, let's be real here. We don't know the actual situation. Nothing has really come out to suggest that, like, hey, they needed to make this union because there are issues going on in Sega. But also, we're in a situation where, like, they just had a lot of layoffs over in Sega of Europe because of the ways that Hyenas was so poorly managed and was ultimately just canceled.
Like video game companies have been laying off massive numbers of workers like across the industry, in part due to like just canceling projects, downsizing, all that stuff. Now, so according to let's see, according to Kotaku, Sega delivered a proposal to phase out all temporary workers by February 2024, many of which are Q&A and localization people, to Aegis, and it would impact roughly 40% of the group, or 80 unionized employees. And Sega forced employees into meetings where they were told their jobs would be offshored to Japan and Europe, rather than bargaining. So they were supposed to bargain over the layoffs directly with the union. That's what you're supposed to do. And so now Aegis has, I think they filed a complaint with the NLRB or the CWA. Yeah, they filed a complaint with the National Labor Relations Board. So presumably, if the NLRB rules that Sega has broken the law, they can just stop that.
Yeah, it's and let's be real here. These are the types of places that usually get, and like localization, not necessarily as much. Like I'm surprised you would want why in God's name would you remove the localization crew from the
Yeah, I don't get this.
part of the company that manages the Sonic brand? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
That is insane. Like, what do you think you would do with the franchise with that to save the money? What? But yeah, it's a mess. Like, and of course Q&A always gets screwed over. Like Q&A is always
Yeah.
the
Like that's
department in any
one
company
of the
that
first big video game
yeah,
unionizations was the Q&A at Activision.
yeah, and
Yeah.
deservedly so. Like the way that group was treated, like yeah, they need those protections. Like it seems it's nuts. It's nuts and it's bad. It makes Sega look bad. It makes Sega look petty. And I like speaking very personally, I support all unionization efforts in game development
Yes.
and beyond game
Yes.
development. I think that if you are worried about the current state of the economy, well, the current state of the economy does not change unless, you change the way that that economy operates. And the way that you change the way that that economy operates is by making sure that the people who are accruing, who have that power to make the economy be what it is, you know, bring them to a way that makes it fair. But
Yep.
yeah, it's a mess. It's bad. I sincerely hope that they get their hand slapped for this petty, terrible behavior, and I hope all the best for
Makes me
Sega of
really
America's
disappointed in
Union.
him.
Yeah. I kind of, this is the kind of thing where I wish I could have written something for the site, but I also we're just in the position where we just don't know much about the back end of like, hey, why did they feel the need to create the union? Are there actual issues going on in Sega of America? Are there problems with the way it's run? We can kind of make vague assumptions, but
Well, as I understand
yeah.
it, like one of the main goals of the union was to end the status of part-time workers and make them full-time workers because
Yeah.
it was like the part-time workers you bring these people on, but you don't have to give them all the benefits of full-time workers.
Even Nintendo of America has dealt with issues like this. Like
Yeah.
they've had their like second class citizen step of using part-time as as like, hey, just filling in gaps and not giving them the opportunities that, you got to move those people into real positions. Like if you don't want turnover in the industry, maybe, well, and some companies probably do want turnover in the industry because it benefits them, but we need people to turn game development into careers, and the only way to make sure it can be an actual career path is to make sure that they're satisfied with their jobs and there's opportunities to move forward. And
Yeah, like incentivize them to stick around and like give them ways to advance like you could back in the day.
yeah. So I don't know. I don't have anything super nuanced to say about this. It just makes me upset anytime, and like it's the kind of thing where it's like, well, now anytime I get a Sonic product or think about a Sonic product, it's gonna come tinged with this issue of like, well, I like the people who are who are managing the brand, but I don't necessarily like the company that they're working under or the situation that they're working in. And how do you square that circle? Like, you want to support you want to support the people, but you also know that the people work within a system, and
Hmm.
you can't really do anything about that system except support them as much as possible. Yeah, sorry. Sorry for
Yeah,
that rant.
pretty
That's
much
fine.
it. A moment of silence there, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you got to support unions, man.
Yeah. So on
Now,
that
I originally
downer,
placed. Yeah. Yeah.
no, I was just gonna wrap up the show.
Well, go on.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say one of the reasons why I put that not at the end of the show is because I didn't want to end the show on a downer.
I I I feel like we have to, like, it's the correct thing to end on a downer. Unfortunately, I think
Yeah.
uh, we can be excited for this mobile game all we want. We can have a love-hate relationship with IDW all we want, but when it comes down to it, like, this is the important thing. Like, hey,
Yeah.
people this is not, the Sonic franchise is not what it is because of executives. It is what it is because of passionate creative people who care about it and do important work for it. And I think that's worth us keeping in mind anytime that we interact with it, is that, hey, hey, people do big cool things, and they deserve to have a living. That's the end of that sentence. Have a living. They deserve to have a living. So, yeah. So yeah.
You're gonna wrap up the show.
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up the show. Hey, everything we do under the banner of Sonic Stadium over at sonicstadium.org. You can check it out for all your Sonic news and community discussions, and we got some new features coming up. We've got a blog system. I I'm gonna have to check and see how we actually use it, because I don't know yet. Dread just released a big ol' Sonic gift guide for this year. We've got all the news stories that we talked about, plus more that we did not talk about here on the podcast. We've got an events calendar if you need to keep up with the latest Sonic events. And of course, we've got one of the internet's oldest Sonic fan communities. You can go check it out. We've got forums. Forums are still a thing, and they're still bumping. You should go check them out.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about some crazed billionaire like blowing them up.
You just have to
I mean,
worry
like,
about
yeah.
Dread.
Unless Dredd like becomes a billionaire, in which case I guess you could start worrying about
Then
that. But
if Dread
it's not
becomes,
gonna
If you
happen.
are
hey, if Dread
if you are
becomes
looking,
if Dredd becomes a billionaire, maybe he could buy a PC finally.
No, he's got something better. He's got a Mac.
Yeah, he's gonna play so many Sonic games on his Mac.
I am kidding,
He's
of
got
course.
2 so
PCs are
far.
yeah, Dream Team.
PCs are
Like, this could
objectively
be
better
one of
than
them.
Macs.
Yeah, so
Like the one Apple device I did not own and will never own is a Mac. Because I guess do not need that.
and hey, we don't have anything specific to announce at this point, but keep an eye on our Twitch. We've got things coming up that will, at current rate, probably be close to next year, but we got things in the pipeline. I've got my entire streaming setup finally
In
fixed up.
I was going to say in 2 weeks we'll be back here for talk about Sonic Dream Team. I'm sure.
Yeah, but we need to figure out how we're gonna time the next couple of shows, because
we've
Dream
got
Team in a week, then we've got the end of the month show, and then we've got Sonic Prime in the middle of January. Like,
oh my dude,
how are we gonna square all that?
oh my dude, it's even worse than that. Like, there are 2 things that we can't talk about yet that are
Oh right,
going
I
to be in
forgot.
play.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So yeah, it's never stopping.
Yeah.
It's
We'll have to
why
discuss
even
that privately.
why even bother stopping to record? Let's just stay online and wait for it all to happen. The eternal
Okay,
podcast.
I got time. Do
So with that, hey, thank you, Jason.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, GX.
And I don't need to thank myself. I can condemn myself on my own time. So
Oh yeah, and Sonic Superstars is up for best family game over at the Game Awards if you care about that sort of thing. So I
do,
guess you can vote for that if you want to.
do you care? Well, no. I think if it's best family, that's what's it called? That's a voter thing. Like you have to be part of their voting block or something to vote for
No,
it.
no, like we do. They do get. I think they do. What's also accept votes from from the regular people. Like that's like a tie-breaking vote or something. Like
Okay, gotcha.
it's the judges, and then the community gets to say.
As long as we don't have another dumbass situation like last year, where
Oh, we probably will.
oh
Although I
dear
don't think
God,
people like Superstars as much as Frontier, so who knows?
uh, just you know what, people, I just want to say this, people. Genshin is fine. Like I'm not gonna sit here and badmouth Genshin just because it's not the thing that I like. Like just it's fine. It's fine. Don't be tribalist. Don't or tribalist. What's it called? I don't know.
Yeah, Tribalist.
Yeah.
You know, early rumors for Dream Team said that like it was going to be the Sonic version of Genshin Impact.
I heard those rumors too. I don't know. Sega would probably like something like that, but maybe they're making it for Super Game. Maybe that's a Super Game. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
We are ended on YouTube and